This video is really just meant to give you some tips and ideas about how to dimension things to where they look the way either you want them or somebody else wants you to have the final drawing look. Some of it's just demonstration, some of it is just pointing out a few things on the styles. We'll actually start out with this one. On this object, some of the things to consider is that, for instance, this radius, the reason it's on the outside with this arc drawn in is because of the text placement. We don't generally want text on dimensions to be inside of the object. If we did, we could just grab this text and bring it around and it would be on the inside of the object, pointing to the radius, which is fine as dimension as far as showing that dimension that way, but most of the time you don't want the actual text and leader on the inside of the object. So when you bring it out, you're going to have this little semicircle to show that it is a continuation of that particular radius, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's really no way to get rid of that and keep the text out here and have the arrow point all the way through to here. You really wouldn't want that anyway because it'd be going through that center point. There's some in-depth ways, I guess, to manipulate it to make that happen, but it's just generally not needed. This is acceptable, and for some folks this would be acceptable. So that's how you would solve that problem. Another thing is with these center marks. We put center marks here and here and here to designate where the dimensions are going to so that we know they are center marks. But a lot of times we want center lines to continue between these to show that they actually do line up. The way you'd want to do that really is just to take one of those lines, and remember these are just center marks, so they're just lines. If they were part of the actual dimension, then they would not be lines. It would be part of, if I clicked on this, that whole center mark would highlight as well. But since these are created with the center mark tool, they're just lines. And so I can take that line, literally just copy it, make sure you got ortho on, bring it straight up, and then just take it, bring it in to where the gap on the bottom of the center mark pretty much matches the gap to the left side, so that it's not symmetrical, but so that it's even. And then do the same thing down here. Just grab the grip, bring it in to where that gap above the center mark is pretty much the same as the gap to the right side of the center mark, so it looks good. And then you'd want to repeat that same thing on the bottom. And many times what you should do, depending on how long the line is actually take that line and turn it into a center line so that we know that they're all lined up together. And then you could do the same thing here. Just bring your line down and then bring the bottom of it up so that the gap looks good. Here we have a little bit of an issue because this center line looks good. This one doesn't even show up. This goes back to line type scale. So what I'd want to do then is take these two center lines and actually take the scale of them over here in the properties, line type scale. Instead of 1, change that to say 0.75. See what that looks like. And what that does is, it again, line type scale changes the scale or the space size of the spacings in the line type. So taking it from 1 to 0.75 makes it 3/4 of its original size. And so now you see I have 2 markings of a center line here and 1 down here, which looks pretty good. I can see that those all line up. So that's another little thing you may have to do. And this, again, a lot of this goes back, it's basically manual drafting. You're just using tools on the computer instead of a pen and a triangle or a straight edge. So a lot of it's not automated. You just have to know what to do and how to do it. And another big thing is keeping a chain of dimensions, which is what this is. If I have 2 or more in a line, it's a chain. Keeping them lined up. You don't want this. You don't want one here, one there, one a little lower. You don't want them staggered like that. You want them all to be aligned. Okay, and you can do that by either one, taking the dimension and just taking that grip on the arrowhead, moving it down till it hits the end point of that arrowhead, and then doing the same thing here. And that way you know they're lined up. You can do that, or you can use, which we talked about in a previous video, you can use the adjust space, and you have to watch that video to see how to do it there. But that's some things. And then over to this object. Here we have the diameter symbol in the middle, it looks kind of like a linear dimension, but that was actually created with the diameter dimension tool by selecting that circle, and you can see it's placing the text in the middle and then spinning the arrows around that. The way that, or the reason that that is like that, is inside of this style, this copy of standard style. And if you modify it and look at it on fit, right here where it says fit options, if you select text as the first thing to move outside, if you just select that one option, make sure that says text, that what it'll actually do is force the text on the inside, because what it's doing is assuming that you want the text on the inside until it just can't fit anymore, then it's going to throw it to the outside. So that would be how you would make a diameter dimension, or any sort of diameter or radius dimension, do this, force the text on the inside. Generally, it's not what you want, because again, the dimensions on the inside of the object is kind of confusing. Most of the time, what you want is this. You want the text to the outside, pointing down to the object, given the diameter of it.